book. I'm writing a book
Mm.
about my first life and into the Miami Vice, how I got Miami Vice and all those years during Miami Vice. So I'm highly aware of I because I wrote journals.
Mm.
Um, well, since I was 15, I've been writing in journals, and as you know, there are many hours spent on the set, and I used to go to my room and just write in my journals, and I recorded everything. so, so I'm hoping this. I have an editor right now, and we're fine tuning it, and it's not an easy thing, but yes, and when I go through the stories, the excerpts, I I can't believe myself that I did all that and that I was in that show. It seems like a memory from far away, and yet when I think about it, I I can remember the exact moment of the situation of what I'm speaking of. But uh, I didn't know that it was going to be a huge hit when I first got this TV show. I just thought I was shooting a pilot, and very well written pilot, by the way, and it might make it or may not make it. A lot of TV things are thrown away by the wayside, and see now with streaming
Mm.
they can go and find this pilot of a TV show and air it, but back then uh it was too expensive to just air something if it didn't get viewership. So do you want me to, I mean,
Yeah, I
it's
can.
like I'm rambling now.
No problem, Sandra. I just didn't want to interrupt.
No,
Sandra, in,
interrupt me.
in terms of the beginning, the sort of 2 hour pilot episode, in terms of that, and obviously the first episode then of Miami Vice, did you have a sense of direction, or did you take it right? Was there a sense of, right, we have one season here, we'll see how it goes, we'll see how the TV ratings are. It might get renewed for a second season, it might not. Or was there a sense of clarity from the beginning, right, we have 2 seasons here, we have 3 seasons here, or was
No,
it season by season?
it was the first year was, we don't know. We
Okay.
didn't know anything. And then I think it was the second season we were picked up for one more year. And then in the third season, we were picked up for 2 years. So the I never knew if I should just buy a little apartment in Miami or just keep renting
Mm.
until they say it's over. Um, I was one of the few people who didn't buy a piece of property. And ironically, my parents lived in South Florida
Mm.
at the time. So they were thrilled that I was there, and they came to visit the set all the time. And I was a South Florida, girl. But I was cast from New York. I wasn't cast in Florida. I was already in New York, making my name on Broadway.
Mm. And
So go
yeah.
ahead.
And did they sort of pigeonhole when you auditioned for the role and when you landed the role, that did it come to you beginning, we're going to tease this sort of chemistry between yourself and Don Johnson, James Crockett, for the audience, for the viewers? Or was that something that developed as the season went on, the storylines went on? Or was that from the off that there was going to be this sort of tension between them in terms of maybe a bit more than the working relationship?
Well, it was written into the pilot that he had just gotten divorced and we were dating.
Mm.
I, I, in the pilot, Gina
Yeah.
and Crockett. And I was hoping that they would investigate that relationship more on screen, because it would have been more scenes for me, more work for me, which, but I think they, in the middle of it, they decided Crockett shouldn't be with one woman. And in my case, they kept putting me in shows where I end up killing the men at the end because I've been compromised. And so I think that they, no one was really supposed to be truly happy on that show. Or, you know, in a very healthy relationship. No one. So I think that's how it developed.
Yeah.
But I don't think they went, oh, yeah, oh, they have nice chemistry. Let's develop that chemistry. They kind of put the, they squashed that.
And Sandra, you mentioned the word compromise there in terms of putting in a nice way. I know it's not a nice word, but you played two powerful episodes where a recurring sort of theme in terms of that happened. And I suppose we're talking about the late 80s now, mid to late 80s, prime time cable TV all across America. Very touchative, sensitive sort of subjects as well for the public and the viewers. An awful lot of in terms of even some things portrayed in comedy wouldn't go down well. This is a hit show, and you're having to pulling off these sort of details, sort of scenes. Was that sort of complex in a way that you were thinking to yourself, right, I want to do this justice, but in same times I want to show the emotion, but we have to maybe strain it back that it doesn't look too graphical? Or was it a very sort of delicate or intricate sort of
No,
process?
we never thought of it as delicate. For example, I in one of my first episodes, we deal with the rape of a friend of mine, and she's raped by a very high, the son of a very influential man in Miami, and I'm not sure if he was a drug dealer. It seemed like they were all drug dealers.
Yeah.
But and that's a personal story for me, and I'm trying to help her because he's raped her once already, and in the end he goes and he rapes her again. And that's a very sad final scene because she ends up killing herself. And I thought that was pretty deep, that Gina had to deal with this. No matter how much she helped her, it didn't, my friend winds up killing herself because she was raped and brutalized by this snotty, rich Latin guy. And then there's another episode where I killed, I'm saving the best for last. And then there's another episode where I go undercover to investigate a character named, I forget what his character
I
is.
think it's Frank Mosca, played by Stanley
Yes,
Tucci.
thank you. Right in there, by Stanley Tucci. And I get involved with him. I end up compromising myself. And again, I end up shooting him and killing him. I'm sorry I'm laughing. It's just that it seemed like that's all I did was kill these men that forced me to sleep with them, or I was, I got confused and I slept with him because maybe I liked him or maybe I didn't. The one person I did sleep with, not me, Gina, was Liam Neeson, who plays an Irish terrorist. But he's supposed to be a reformed Irish terrorist. And somehow I'm told to go to a meeting where he's speaking, and there's another investigator, and they're watching him, and they say he's not reformed. So I'm supposed to go undercover and get to know him and find out what his dealings are. And in the interim, I end up falling for him. I end up falling for this man. And it was very easy with Liam because he's so handsome and very charismatic, and even then he was really not well known, but he was such a great actor that I fell for him too. Saundra fell for Liam as well, but that's a long story.
And Sandra, in terms of Miami Vice, we saw after three to four episodes, if my memory is correct, we saw the original police lieutenant was killed off, and Eddie Olmos came in on set, and Eddie, a big, massive sort of star, he put his own take on it, and Miami Vice, and then a season regular in John Azeel, who played Zito in season 3. He met his demise for he wanted other opportunities as well. Was there ever a sense as the main stars within the show that maybe some first ratings for Spice, that maybe that another guest star could meet another original star could meet their demise? Or after season 1 or 2, were you very much assured in your roles in terms of?
No, we were never assured of anything. However, at one point, I got shot on the show in an episode. It was very random. And I wrote in my diary, funny enough, I said something like, Thursday I get shot on the show, and I still don't know if I'm off the show or still on the show. Because I didn't know if I was going to die or not. And actually, oh, do you hear I have doves.
It's fine, perfect. It's
You
not
don't hear
coming
them?
across.
So I remember thinking, well, if they kill me, so be it. I'll get more work. Because at that moment, I was being offered and wanting to be seen for many movies. And one of them was a Spielberg film, which they actually hired me, Batteries Not Included, a nice little indie film that shot in the Lower East Side. And funny enough, they wouldn't let me out of my contract to do it. And even though I said I wanted to go do the movie because I wanted to move on, just like John Deal. And because my thoughts as an actor at that point, I start on Broadway. I had a lot going for me, and I needed to get into that movie, but it didn't happen, and they didn't kill me.
And Sandra, in terms of Miami,
I got shot, but I survived.
You got shot. In terms of Miami Vice and the two female leads, yourself and Olivia Brown, was there ever a sense? We know we had sort of guest female actors come in and maybe had recurring sort of roles. Was there ever a sense maybe to add a third leading female lady, or was it always a sense that 2 is the prime sort of number?
They weren't even writing that much for us.
Okay.
Sometimes the guest performers, the guest leads, had way more screen time than we had. I remember Helena Bonham Carter was on the show. She had a very big episode. We had so many great wonderful actors, and they had great storylines, you know. And so we were just the filler, Olivia and I. We were the eye candy and the filler, and they gave us some moments here and there, you know. Uh, we fought tooth and nail for every time we got on camera.
Mm.
We had to, because we were being left in the shadow of the two male leads, and it was disconcerting because I wasn't hired to be a background extra.
Mm.
I was hired. I had third role, third. You know, I came in third in the credits, and I was paid as such. So yeah, nothing was ever planned really. I mean, they were writing. I guess they were trying to take stories from real Miami
Mm.
uh, stories that occurred in Miami. You know, that was clever in that they were using uh, whatever happened, any kind of enforcement in Miami. Obviously, a lot of drug deals gone bad.
Saundra, when I was speaking to Frank Stallone, he made an interesting comment to me, and you might clarify this. You might be unaware of this. From his understanding, that the original producers and directors of Miami Vice, when they were thinking up the concept, that the original plan was for the Philip Michael Thomas to be the main star, the main lead, and then Don Johnson to be the sort of supporting to Philip Michael Thomas. But as the series went on, Don became more popular than Philip, and Frank said there was a tiny bit of friction over that between the two of them. Is that sort of a fair comment to say, or is that something you didn't really
I
notice?
never saw Philip having friction with Don, uh, or vice versa, because Philip is a very easygoing guy, uh, the nicest guy, you know, just a sweetheart. I'm sorry that he never wants to get involved in these kinds of things. You know, I know that he lives in Orlando, I believe. I don't know. I haven't talked to him in years, but Philip was not confrontational or argumentative in any way. Don really exerted what he thought was his power to become the lead. I
Okay,
mean, he established that very early. And that's probably why our first lieutenant left,
okay.
uh, because uh, it was supposed to be an ensemble cast.
Mm.
It really was. All the actors who were cast were great. And Don just steamrolled his way through and established himself a star. To his credit, you know, he did it. I mean, I don't know if I mean, that was my first TV show, so I didn't know any better. When a role is written, you know, I'm used to doing plays. You can't go beyond what's written, you
Mm.
know, as a part. But he, in backstage, exerted himself very, very. He made himself a star.
Okay. And Sandra, you mentioned about guest stars coming right. Had you ever any sense of idea from week to week who would roll up and said that one week it could be Bruce Willis, the next week it was Chris Rock? Had you any ever sense of idea that who was going to arrive? And sometimes, as ye established stars yourself, was a bit of jaw-dropping moments. That's Don King around there, the manager Mike Tyson. That's
Right.
that's Chris Rock.
Well,
That's been Adam Sandler.
was it Adam Sandler in the show?
I think so from my research. Uh,
Really?
I think so,
Well,
yeah.
I know Chris Rock was on it because we had Olivia and I had a scene with him. But to be honest, I wasn't aware of him being this great comedian because he was brand new to the, to the game. Um, I I knew about Bruce Willis because he was a bartender at a club in Columbus, and that I used to go to all the time. So, and he was trying to get work as an actor. I mean, you have to start somewhere.
Yes, yes, yes.
He's a famous bartender. Um, he shows up on the set. He was so nice. He was so much fun. Um, and I knew that Liam was coming because the casting director, Bonnie Timmerman, called me because this was a special episode for me. It was called When Irish Eyes Are Crying.
Okay.
Right? And she said to me, I don't know what she was preparing me for, but she said, I am sending you the most handsome man, Irish actor, to play this part opposite you, and you better treat him nice. I said, well, of course I'm going to treat him nice. Of course I will, especially because we had a lot of scenes together. I welcomed the guest actors. I mean, I loved them because they were all great. I mean, yes, the one that we had that I thought, whoa, Miles Davis,
Yeah.
James Brown,
Mm.
uh, Rita Moreno, who, was a bit of a idol for me, a big idol for me. Gosh, who else? Oh, I had another show where I sang, and that was played by Jérôme Crabbe, but he's from Amsterdam,
Okay.
and he was very big at the time. I think he did a movie with Barbara Streisand, and I loved working with him. He was wonderful. And now Barbara Streisand did show up on the set, and she had one small walk by because Don, who was dating her, convinced her to do it. But I never got to meet her
Okay.
because I wasn't there on the set that day. And I remember thinking, this is so wrong that I didn't get to meet Barbara Streisand. But who else? We had so many. It's just and actors that are not like big names, but under the radar and just fine actors. They do theater, they do independent features. They great actors. That's why I appreciated all the guest stars.
Saundra Santiago, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you today, to relive your memories of playing Detective Gina
I
Calabrese.
didn't say anything offensive, did I?
No, no, nothing at all. Detective Gina Calabrese and Miami Vice. And I'm sure everyone, when they hear this about your memoirs or a book coming out in the near future, is going to be very excited and is going to be tuning in actively to your social media in terms of that to hear
Well,
developments in
at
the
the
future.
moment, it's called Queen of the May, which has nothing to do with Miami Vice because it's really about my life story.
Okay, we look out for that.
Queen of the May, they do that over there a lot, don't they? The
Yeah, that's true.
I was Queen of the May
Yes, indeed.
in my Catholic school.
Sandra, an absolute pleasure. Stay safe, take care, and God bless. And thanks
You
again for
stay
joining us.
safe too. Oh, you never know these days. Be careful.
Take care, Sandra.
Lovely, John. Okay. Jim,
Jim,
sorry.
Jim,
Jim,
yeah.
sorry.
Take care, Sandra.